Welcome to Willow Waves, a student-produced podcast that brings together young minds to explore and discuss current events and topics that connect all of us.
Tune in to our podcast to join us on this exciting journey of learning and discovering.
Hey there, this is Maddy
And Lily.
Welcome to a new episode of the Willow Waves podcast. Today we'll be talking about a serious topic, mental health.
Did you know in recent years, kids and teens' mental health issues have gone up by 44% in the last few years?
Well, what has caused the increase?
Well, many things can cause this, such as lack of sleep, fake rumors around school, lack of exercise, or low self-esteem. All of these things can cause many issues to kids and teens.
Well, if you do find yourself in a tough situation, there are a lot of tools and coping mechanisms, such as, talking with a friend, going on a walk outside, taking a warm bath, listening to music, or breathing exercises. But, of course, there are hundreds more of coping skills, which you can find anywhere, really, yeah.
That sounds great, but some of these coping skills might not work for certain people. But that's okay. You can do whatever makes you happy.
Well, for our special guest, we are going to interview the assistant principal of Willow Springs Elementary School, Mrs. Tapper. Today, we'll be asking Mrs. Tapper her thoughts on how stress and anxiety can affect an elementary school student. As a vice principal of an elementary school, in your opinion, what do you consider to be two of the most important aspects of mental health related to the achievement of successful learning, and why?
All right. Well, there's a lot of factors that impact learning. I believe that before students can really learn and be successful, and before they can achieve at their highest levels, they need to feel comfortable. They need to feel safe, they need to feel accepted, they need to feel cared about. So it's up to the adults in the building to create an environment where every single student feels that they are seen, that they are understood, that they are valued and accepted for who they are. No child should be afraid to come to school, afraid of their teacher, or stressed out. Because again, and this goes for all human beings, not just children, and it even goes to animals too. Animals can hear our tone of voice when we talk to them. If they think that, if your dog or cat thinks that you're mad or that you might hurt them in some way because they did something wrong, they'll run away. They'll hide. Humans are the same way, whether you're a baby, a student, or an adult. We all need to feel safe, secure, loved, and for kids, again, in order for students to be able to learn, they need to feel that somebody knows them and somebody cares about them, because then it motivates them to want to do more.
Because if you're not, if you don't feel safe, then you're going to be scared, and you're not going to want to learn and continue and to learn more.
Right, and it's when we feel scared, it triggers a different response in our bodies. The chemicals and the hormones in our bodies shift, because we become we are animals, we are mammals. So Definitely. The chemicals in our bodies shift to be prepared to defend us. There's a danger. Do we need to run away, to be prepared to run away? So when those hormones and chemicals are flooding our bodies, our brains are working less. I believe I've read that the blood actually flows away from our brain when we're stressed, because it goes to other parts of our body to get ready to run, to fight.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly in a state of heightened anxiety, heightened awareness, and fear.
Anxiety, definitely, that contributes back to mental health.
Right, there's not going to be as much blood and oxygen flowing to our brains. So I could talk about this a lot, but I won't. Let's move on to the next question.
Our second question is, what are some ways you think teachers and administrators can advocate for individuals with mental health issues right here at Willow Springs?
So I have a clarifying question. Do you mean if a student has a mental health issue, how can teachers and administrators advocate for them?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So I think there has to be a greater understanding in schools and in our communities and in the world in general about what mental health problems are, and that they are normal, and that everybody has mental health problems at some point in their life, and probably at many points. The term mental health issues or issues is still seen as something that we should be ashamed of, or something to be embarrassed of, or something to hide. And it's not. It's a normal part of being human.
Yeah.
what are some things we need to do? We need to have an understanding that this is normal, that it happens, and that there are resources out there to support anybody, child or adult, who is going through some kind of difficulty in their life. So everyone needs to feel safe that they can speak up and say, you know what, I'm having a really tough day. You know, can I just take a break? Or, you know, just advocate for themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's really like nice and a powerful message.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely.
completely.
Okay.
What can we do as students ourselves to advocate for our peers that may be struggling with their mental health?
Okay. Well, I think what you're doing right now is incredible. Like I was saying before, there needs to be a greater understanding of mental health issues, and I don't even like that. We probably even need a different term for that. There needs to be a greater understanding of mental health and social and emotional needs that impact learning. So I think what kids can do is kids can seek to learn and to understand rather than seeking to joke and to be funny. Like kids like to say, oh, I was just joking, I was just playing. That needs to stop. We need to all be more respectful and kind and understanding. So a lot of times when kids hurt each other, they're not doing it on purpose. They don't have a plan of, oh, I'm going to hurt that person and make them so sad they don't want to come to school.
Right.
But they're joking. They're trying to be a show-off. So often kids say they're roasting somebody or things like that. So what can kids do? Kids can begin to be aware that there are, that other humans have needs, and they need to understand the power of their words, and they need to be able to monitor themselves, and they need to be able, kids who are the target of unkind words and actions, they need to be empowered to speak up for themselves and advocate for themselves, to tell someone.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with
Kinda
that completely because like some kids might not think of it as joking and they might like actually think it's like not funny and then they're not going to feel
we as students
comfortable.
need to have like a broader mindset and kind of think of others more instead of just like, oh, it's a joke, kind of more evaluate the situation.
Right, it's called empathy. So if students can be more empathetic and consider the perspective and the feelings of others, that would go a long way. And if they can be more accepting, or even if we make a mistake, acknowledge that you've made a mistake and then go to the person and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. Are you okay? Can I help you?
That's bad on my part, right? So definitely.
Yeah. How can we minimize stress and anxiety from happening in school buildings?
Oh, that's a tough one. There are things that are within our control and things not in our control. So I think, well, we haven't talked about families yet. I think families are so important. Every child deserves to have a good support system outside of school. Now, of course, kids don't choose their families and what their families are made up of. And some kids may not even have a family. Yesterday I was talking to a woman who lived in foster homes her whole life. So it doesn't have to be your family, your blood relatives, but everyone needs a support system outside of school to listen to them, to talk to them. In school, I think teachers need to be supported also. That's a part we haven't talked about either. Teachers also need to feel safe and accepted and able to take risks. If teachers feel stressed out because their principal or someone is pressuring them to do things or always criticizing them, then they're going to pass that stress on to the students. But when teachers feel relaxed and accepted and supported and they know that if they make a mistake, it's not a big deal. They can just come and ask for help, we'll solve it together and move on. Then if teachers feel that way, then they need to create environments where all students feel that way. Now, undoubtedly, things are going to happen where things go wrong and mistakes are made by kids, trust is broken, people are hurt, but we need to call that out immediately. As the adults, we shouldn't say, oh, they were just playing. She doesn't know how to take a joke. He's really sensitive. She was just being a baby. No, we need to hold our standards high and say, we expect all students, all staff to treat each other with kindness and respect and understanding. And when that relationship is damaged, we all need to have the courage to admit it and make it better. Anyway, so there's a lot of things we can do. Those are the things within our control. There's things that are not in our control, like SOL testing, VGA testing. Those are really stressful things for kids and teachers. We don't necessarily have the power to do anything about it now, but we do have voices. We do have the ability to think, to speak, to write. And maybe kids need to start letting the adults who make the decisions about school, let them know how these tests are affecting their ability to learn and their mental health. because the adults in the school systems do listen to kids. So if kids were to start writing to the superintendents and to the leaders and to the lawmakers and saying, this is what's happening to us, this is how we're feeling and why, make some changes, kids can advocate for change. So
That's really nice.
If there are students listening right now that are possibly worried about their mental health and the state that they're in, what steps could they possibly take?
The first step to take is to understand that there's nothing wrong with you, to understand that you're normal, that what you're going through is okay, and understand that there is always someone out there who cares about you and will help you. So first, just relax, understand that I'm not crazy, my life isn't over, this is normal. And the second thing, most important thing to do is to ask for help with whoever is the trusted adult or adults in the building or in their life, and go to them. And the third thing is, if kids need help and they go to someone who's a trusted adult and that trusted adult doesn't listen to them or doesn't help them immediately, then they need to go to the next person and to the next person, and don't stop, because this is your life, this is your mental health, and you have the right to advocate for or ask for help. And the last thing to know is that there are a ton of resources available to support kids and adults, and there's resources in Fairfax County that kids aren't even aware of. I was at a meeting outside of school yesterday where high school students were presenting about mental health issues and so forth, and the kids themselves, who are high schoolers, and these are high achieving kids who are, in advanced academics and so forth, many of them said that they weren't even aware of all the resources available for free in Fairfax County. They talked about that there's free online therapy available to people, so that families and kids don't have to drive to go somewhere. They can just pick up a phone and call and get free therapy. And these kids were saying, we didn't know this was available. So there's a lot of resources out there, and I think we can explore that more and work towards putting the information out into the community, into families and to teachers and to kids, so that, there's nothing stopping a kid from going to a phone and making a phone call themselves.
Right, and
That's
I
really
definitely
cool.
feel like it's important for the kids themselves, not for someone to tell them how they're feeling, but to understand why they're feeling that way as well. So
Right.
definitely.
Yeah,
And
adults need to learn how to listen to each other and to kids without judgment.
A lot of
Yeah.
kids, like I've seen it myself, like they don't want to get help. They're like demotivated. They don't want to do anything. They feel like they're the problem. They feel like they're like pushing themselves down.
Right.
So I think it's really important that like kids like go to the next trusted adult and just like talk with them to like let their feelings out.
Right.
And then another thing that's demotivating kids is like, oh, everybody in the school is going to find out, and then I'm just going to be that kid who's crazy and has problems. Oh, did you know that? Oh, she's feeling this way
Right.
and that way. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody feels that way. Everybody is afraid of
Judgment.
Yes, of judgment. Perfect word. Exactly. Adults feel that way too, and those are fears, but they're not truth. The truth is, you
Right.
are normal. Everybody does go through this, and so if somebody talks about you, they talk about you. That's their problem, not yours. You can't let that stop you from getting help.
It's a really powerful message to like
And,
people.
Thank you for your time.
That's
Thank you.
all.
That's it? All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Thank
anytime
you
want
so
to talk about it.
much.
Oh, can I add something to this recording? Okay, so to any students or adults who listen to this, please know that I am one of your trusted adults. I am, or if you're another adult, I'll be your friend. If you are struggling, I am a safe place to come and ask for help. I will stop whatever I am doing to help you. I have also had times in my life when I was struggling and I needed help. So I know how it feels, and I will welcome you and support you without judgment, and I will get you the help that you need. And if I can't do it, then I will let someone else know. So please think of Mrs. Tapper as one of your many trusted adults.
And thank
That's
you so
really
much for your
nice. Thank
time.
you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome,
Thank
girls.
you.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Hey there, this is Maddie.
And Lily.
We just want to thank you for listening to the Willow Waves podcast.
And also thank you again to Mrs. Tapper for letting us interview her. We'll see you soon. Bye!